Alright, Captain America 164 is today's review. We have a comic by Steve Englehart and Weiss from 1973. It is Captain America and Falcon Man has been transformed into a werewolf. This story is a crucial part of the enigma that is Capwolf. This is the one issue in all of Captain America's history that you could point to as rationalization or justification for the majority of the Capwolf plot. Our story is titled Queen of the Werewolves, and we open to Captain America being mauled by an army of werewolves and wolfmen, and maybe a couple of hyena men too. Huh? Did I miss an issue or something? When did Captain America get imprisoned in this castle? Oh, it is not him. It is some guy our villainess has outfitted as Captain America so that she could sick her pets on him. You know what? He looks a bit like Roscoe. Maybe one of those excellent writers that I love, like Kurt Busey or Topher Proust, they could come along and retcon that Roscoe actually was Captain America one time before he became Captain America later on. And he had this one adventure where he was savaged by wolves. And then you can pretend it is like artful symmetry because his career began how it ended. Now we will come to S.H.I.E.L.D, our villain, but here is Captain America and Falcon Man. Captain America is having himself a good laugh, probably at the notion that Falcon Man has been a character for 4 years by this point, and he still doesn't have his wings. Falcon Man is taking Captain America to investigate the disappearance of his odd friend. Maybe that guy that was dressed as Captain America at the start. They look the same, but all white people look the same to me. Roscoe, that guy, Tony Bennett. And this issue succeeds at a lot of stuff. There's some big honking problems, but things like the atmosphere of this odd castle, the horror of the wolves hiding in wait behind Captain America. Imagine if the Capwolf story had that tone, that feel, like that bit where A and Dr. Doom were surrounded by werewolves. What if the wolves looked threatening or scary instead of awkward and stupid? We have a short sequence of Captain America beating off the werewolves. And I don't want to needlessly shit on stuff, but his dialogue on this page is, let's say, funny. That's not a criticism, is it? Saying something is funny. Ghostbusters 2016 would have loved to have that as a criticism. It is a good enough action piece. I went in thinking I was going to be talking more about the flaws with Edelweiss's art, but a lot of it in this issue is fine. It is totally acceptable. Now here is the star of the show, S.H.I.E.L.D. She is what makes this issue a bit more than just an alright Captain America fights wolves story. S.H.I.E.L.D. has, for the time, an outrageously over-the-top, completely bonkers personality. It sets her apart so much. She feels fresh and exciting compared to a lot of other villains and definitely other villainesses of the time. Her personality carries this entire issue. Captain America summarises it great on this page. She is like a little girl posing, playing grown up. You don't have to draw too long a line to link S.H.I.E.L.D. to a character like Harlequin. She is very similar to, well, my idea of Harlequin, I admit, isn't really accurate to Harlequin at all. But they are both utterly crazy and blatantly horny. S.H.I.E.L.D. has already captured Falcon Man, and she transforms him. We waste zero time transforming him into a werewolf. Capwolf took 4 parts until Captain America was transformed into a werewolf. Also, please pay attention to this. Falkwolf looks monstrous. He looks scary. This is a legitimate, scary transformation. Captain America always looked like a puppy when he became a wolf. Then we have Captain America versus Falkwolf. I do want to say I know nothing about it at all. I thought it was the stupidest shit ever. It was about a year or two after I gave up on new Marvel Comics. It was when Falcon Man was Captain America. One of his first stories when he was Captain America. Nickelback Spencer, I believe it was. He transformed him back into a werewolf, and it went on for a few issues, and all I remember, my only memory is looking at it and seeing Falcon Man as Captain America as a werewolf, and thinking that this is like the last thing any Captain America reader wants. Then it got worse, of course, but we don't talk about that. With the female things getting worse, here is Yellow Peril. We find out S.H.I.E.L.D. is being funded by and backed by Yellow Peril. I don't know how to really talk about this character. Steve Englehart is... No, I am not going to proclaim he is racist. I call too many people racist. Steve Englehart has a weird fixation on Yellow Peril, this character, and Fu Manchu, even Willow. Willow has a lot of elements of stereotype. It is far from a main problem, and I don't think I even brought it up when I was saying how she is the worst thing ever. I think this is a good example though. Jim Starman stopped working on the Master of Kung Fu comics because he learned and became aware of the insensitivity of the Fu Manchu character. He told Steve Englehart about this, but Steve Englehart just kept writing Fu Manchu after that. He didn't see any problem with it. or with Yellow Peril, who takes up the next couple of issues of this series, and they are some of Steve Engleshart's worst Captain America comics. I also will disclose, it'll be a bit of a non sequitur at the end here, but Steve Englehart intended to reveal Yellow Peril was Willow's brother in West Coast Avengers. One thing I do want to address is a misconception about S.H.I.E.L.D. I think it is based on two things, both stupid. People think that S.H.I.E.L.D. is a teenager in this story, that she is underage, that she is a child. Straight off the bat, no thank you. They interpret Captain America's line about her being like a young girl pretending to be a grown-up as him literally saying she is a young girl. And the other thing, and this is almost as dodgy as knowing the age of consent of every state, they think because her breasts aren't gigantic, that therefore she is prepubescent and they haven't developed yet. Who wants that? Who wants this scantily clad villain to be underage? Who wants to look at a child in this outfit? I could also point to evidence such as, on the previous page, her saying she has spent years working on her werewolf formula. What? Are you saying she started work on it when she was like 9? Why would Yellow Peril ally himself with a little girl? Anyway, S.H.I.E.L.D. is the bridge between this and Capwolf. She appears in that story prominently, and is very definitely an adult in that. We have Samuel L. Jackson and S.H.I.E.L.D. They show up, and he has come dressed for the occasion. He is wearing like a hunter get-up. Is this coming out of the federal budget? They will never take S.H.I.E.L.D. alive though. And so she melodramatically jumps off a cliff with her pet wolves. She survives, obviously. And before Capwolf, she has a few other appearances in this series and in other books too. I went over her in one of the parts of Capwolf. I talked about her appearances and her history in that. As the sun dawns, Falcon Man returns to normal. And other than Yellow Peril and the continuing nature of that plotline, this can work as a standalone issue. It is not Steve Englehart's best issue on Captain America, but it is a good baseline to judge everything against. This should be the bare minimum. This should be the standard. An issue that has enough good or successful elements that work to downplay or remedy the bits that don't work as well. Get rid of Yellow Peril, and I would rate this higher even. I don't like that character. It's not just virtue signalling. I don't like that the character exists, and that the character is also shit on top of that. This is better than Capwolf. Make of that what you will, and I'll give this a 7 thumbs up. Came up with a pun. Oh god, it's fucking terrible. I came up with a pun in the style of my nemesis. It goes, I'm a big fan of the popular singer S.H.I.E.L.D. giving professional talks about the Marvel Comics starring the Steve Rogers character. That's right, she's a smooth cap orator. Smooth cap orator. I'll explain that one later by the door.